You know we had to do it. You know we had to come out here and make another video about Radim Vrbata because the spirit lives on, baby. Okay, I'm gonna go out there and say that yesterday, so the night of Vancouver versus Minnesota, wherein the Canucks lost 6-3 in regulation, playoff hopes are done, everything is completely taken out. Of course, there is still some mathematical existence that the Canucks can make the playoffs, but it's very specific. The Canucks need to go 4-0-0, and they need to make sure that LA and Vegas stop winning and all that stuff. So for all intents and purposes, the Vancouver Canucks are right now what a lot of people have been feeling they were for the past few months. Done. Sure, the 6-game win streak was nice, and it gave us a lot of hope. Hey, maybe there is some possibility that the Canucks force their hand and twist the will of the gods to allow them to force a playoff run. But ultimately, cooler heads prevail, realistic heads prevail, and the Canucks end up losing to a Minnesota team that is all around just better than them. And unfortunately, that was the case. You could see they tried, you could see there was effort, but at the end of the day, when Bruce Boudreau was rolling out 2 lines pretty much in the third period against a team that is as defensively sound as Minnesota is, it becomes really easy for that team to develop their system properly around that. And the Canucks ultimately did not do much in the third period in terms of scoring chances. The Wild, on the other hand, got 3 goals, so that's kind of where things stand. You could also talk about Thatcher Demko and say that he wasn't all too great last night either, but yesterday I kind of left the game in the middle of the second period because there was some hockey going on at the community center, so I wanted to go out and play that. Shout out to Danson, by the way, the goaltender for the team that I was on. He recognized me. He called me out at the end of the entire first game we played, and he was like, "Hey, are you Lego Rocks?" And I was like, what if I say I am? It's kind of funny. It does happen quite often, especially at these hockey events that take place in the city, that, yeah, people do recognize me because I think everybody knows what I look like at this point, right? It's all over the channel. Short Asian dude, right? But either way, I did miss out on the third period of the Canucks and the Wild game. I got home, it was pretty late, and I was like, do I want to make a video about this? Force myself to talk about something wherein I didn't watch the climax? Probably not. So I decided to sleep it off, come back tomorrow, which is today, and go over just the other things that we can talk about when it comes to the Vancouver Canucks, like the fact that Radim Vrbata's soul has indeed been redeemed. And yes, I did just make that gosh darn joke. You know I love to see it, and you know how important the marker of 30 goals is to me because Radim Vrbata was the last one to have 30 goals on this team going back 7 years ago. But we have ourselves another one of these Radim Vrbata exorcisms. It is Elias Pettersson in yesterday's game, who arguably played the best game of his entire gosh darn career. The guy went out there, so many shots on goal, 2 actual goals. You could see just the lethality and the dangerous decision-making that Elias Pettersson has in the offensive zone. And it was on display yesterday. Elias Pettersson was the most dangerous Canuck forward out there. He was the most available Canuck forward out there, and it put him in a position to get 2 goals, 30 and 31 on the season. The first one was a centering feed from Connor Garland down low. Pettersson rips the one-timer at the hash marks to get by. The second goal was another one of these plays where he is just in the right place at the right time. It's a rebound on the rush where Pettersson is right in front of the goalie, and he's able to shovel the puck in behind and into the net. And so for Elias Pettersson, yesterday's game was kind of one of the best he has played. I think a lot of people would go out there and agree that this guy's an absolute monster, and it's crazy, fantastic to see how good he has been ever since that slump to kick off 2021-2022. But with this goal, 30 and 31, Elias Pettersson is now tied with Bo Horvat for most goals on the team in 2021-2022. As we said, it's wild that he's there because of how poorly he played at the start of the year. But it's kind of crazy how Bo, he went on an absolute heater to end off his 21-22. Pettersson, the second half of his season was incredible. And then, of course, you have Miller, who was good the entire time. So, yeah, he hasn't really had the same pains that the rest of the Canucks forward core have gone through. You could very well debate, though, that Miller's lack of presence in big games is somewhat noteworthy, especially this season, but then again, he was like a point per game in the playoffs 2 years ago, so who am I to say that about Miller? But the Vancouver Canucks, with this Pettersson 31-goal year, now have 3 30-goal scorers on the season, Bo with 31 right now, Petey with 31, and Miller with 30. And it's kind of wild because this is the first time in over 20 years the team has had 3 30-goal scorers. And it's wild that that's the case. We talked before about how 2010-2011 was the last time the Vancouver Canucks had 2 30-goal scorers on the team, with Daniel Sedin and Kessler both having 41. Well, if you want to go to the second last time the Canucks had 2 30-goal scorers on the team, you gotta go back 1 year, so 2009, 2010, and you see where exactly this team finished up. Sure, you had Burrows at 35 goals, fantastic. You had Samuelsson, 30 goals, underrated sniper for the Vancouver Canucks. But then you had Henrik and Daniel, who each had 29 goals. And there are some people that are gonna hear that and be like, wait a minute, Henrik had 29 goals in a season? Yeah, the year he won the Art Ross, that was when Daniel Sedin was sidelined for a good chunk of the year, and Henrik Sedin, of all people, stepped up and started potting him in while Daniel was out. Daniel only had 63 games on the season, so if he played a full 82, he would have had 30 as well. But 2009-2010 was a season where the Canucks came close to having 4 30-goal scorers, but that did not manifest. So you gotta go back to 1995-1996 to see the last time the Vancouver Canucks had 3 30-goal scorers on the team. They are Alexander McGillney, who had 55 freaking goals. Yeah, absolute legend McGillney is. How is that guy not in the Hall of Fame? Trevor Linden had 33 goals that season, and then you had Martin Jelenosh, who had 30, not to mention the fact that you had Russ Courtnall at 26 and Cliff Ronning at 22. Here is KMAD Ride Survivor on Twitter, who actually made a list of all the times the Canucks have had 3 30-goal scorers. 21-22, Miller, Pettersson, Horvat. Of course, you have the McGillney, Linden, Jelenosh thing from the mid-90s. And then in 1992-1993, the Canucks had Bure, Peter Nedved, Trevor Linden, Jeff Courtnall all getting 30, so 4 times. That's the most in franchise history. 91-92 saw Bure, Greg Adams, and Linden get 30. 87-88 had Tony Tanti, Adams, and then Petr Striko all getting 30 on the season. You go back to 82-83, Rhoda, Smeel, Gradin, and then 81-82, it's Thomas Gradin, Smeel, and Boldyrev. So, not too many times, but there you go, 21-22, the first time in the 2000s the Canucks have had 3 30-goal scorers on the year. It's kind of wild because, like, even Brendan Morrison and the West Coast Express, like, yeah, there were years where Naslund and Bertuzzi were going off with 40 goals each, but Brendan Morrison never hit that 30 mark in order to make the actual list here for 30 goal scorers, or excuse me, 3 30-goal scorers on a Canucks season. So with Elias Pettersson hitting 30, my ultimate Radim Vrbata redemption arc has been redeemed, and I'm so happy to see him go out there and play the way that he has been playing. All you gotta do now is just wonder, okay, next season, Thatcher Demko, he's gonna know what it's like to play as many games as he did this year. He's gonna know what it's like to be a full-time starter, and he's gonna have that experience because they were talking about this on 650 on the radio after I was driving home from the drop-in floor hockey at the community center, but like, Thatcher Demko's played 60 games this year, and he's had to play 3 games in the past 4 nights. This is not really something that he's used to because his entire career up to this point, he has been either in the NTDP or playing for Boston College, which is in, you know, the NCAA schedule, and then going up and down with the Canucks and the Comets, starter here, backup there, but this is the first season where Thatcher Demko has been the main guy, and he's got 63 games played in the year because of it. That's a huge workload for a guy that, quite frankly, you could say looked tired, and I'm just kind of interested in seeing how he bounces back next year. Okay, this is what it's like. I need to prepare my body, make sure I'm ready for this to do it all over again. And then you have, of course, Elias Pettersson, who is playing the best hockey of his life right now. Bo Horvat, who has still been on a heater even though he is injured. Brock Besser, who knows if he comes back. JT Miller, who knows if he comes back. Most likely not. And then Quinn Hughes and all them. Quinn still has the opportunity to break the Canucks record for defenseman points and assists in a season. He's got like 4 games or something to do that, so he's gonna do it. Just, yeah. Knock on wood. No, should I even knock on wood? Knock on wood just in case, but like, do you really see Quinn Hughes going pointless in the last 4 games of the year? Come on, man. But either way, let me know in the comments all your thoughts about the Vancouver Canucks and their playoff odds being pretty much crushed. The fact that they lost to a Minnesota Wild team that is just so good. I saw the clip of Matt Boldy flipping the puck over whoever defenseman that was head over onto the stick of Kaprizov. Like, the Wild just completely beat the Canucks, and they deserve to win. So, Vancouver, let's just hope for next year, but for now, we still have some more records and stats that we can pay attention to as the season comes to a close. Let me know in the comments your thoughts about what you're going to be paying attention to, what stats you want to see fulfilled. I want to see JT Miller get 100 points. I want to see Brock Besser end off the year with as many points and goals as he can. I want to see Quinn Hughes get that assist and points record for a defenseman in the Canucks franchise history. Let me know in the comments your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this British 99, and bye.